you were brought in by the founder, Jack Ma,
Yes.
to rescue Alibaba in effect, right?
That's not true.
Not rescue. What would you say? What word would you
I think there
use?
was always a big misconception that somebody like Savio Kwan can come into a company like Alibaba and turn it around and all that. A number of business schools try to write it up that way, but I think that actually is not true. I think Jack very early on recognized that the bubble is going to burst. So he started measure to reduce the burn rate. So we have a very high burn rate, $2 million almost a month. So when I got to Alibaba, Jack said we had a lot of money. But I said, how much? He said $10 million. But Joe, the CFO, said we actually have a very high burn rate. So I didn't understand what burn rate means because I come from a very conventional background. So I said, well, what is the meaning of burn rate? And then Joe's answer is, burn rate is a very elegant way of saying you're not making money. But I think Jack actually, and Joe actually tried to reduce the burn rate earlier. But it is difficult because you're talking about people you hire. People you hire because people you attract into the business because of Jack, because of Joe, because of John. And we are all over the places. So it really is tough to for the same set of leader to do the reduction, the resizing. So I think that actually is a team kind of effort. Because first of all, we really have to ask the question: is what is the strategy for the reducing the burn rate?
Right.
And I think I remember very clearly. He said we were a B2B company, and then Jack said we have to have the 3 B2C. Mm-hmm. So what the first B2C is back to China. The second B2C is back to coast. So where in China is the coast? And then the third B2C is back to central. That means where is your headquarters? So it wasn't blindly cutting and so on. So having said that, that actually means at that time we have 5 theaters of war. One is China, one is the USA, the other is Europe, and then the other one is Hong Kong, and then the other one is Southeast Asia. We were all over the places. We're there with all kinds of people.
This was very a very prominent kind of strategy in the .com boom, as everybody was expanding and overexpanding, and so Alibaba did the same thing.
Yeah,
right?
we did the same thing. We're no different from anybody. But then the key strategy of the 3 B2C is that we've got to go back to China. Mm-hmm. Once you said that, that means everything else is not the priority. So China becomes the priority. Then where in China? China is so big, so the coastal area. So then we're down to 5 provinces and 2 cities. The 2 cities being Shanghai and Beijing, the 5 provinces being the 5 coastal provinces. I went to Hangzhou because I remember being hired. Goldman Sachs representative, Oliver, was saying that, Savio, where would you like to be stationed? Would you like to be doing the COO job in Hong Kong or Shanghai, or where would you want to do it? And I told him, I said, Oliver, don't give me a trick question. If I say Hong Kong, you will not hire me, will you? Because Hong Kong is not China. I think he laughed. And then I said, no, not Shanghai, because Shanghai is not Alibaba. So Hangzhou is Alibaba. So I actually went to Hangzhou. Joe and I went to Hangzhou, I remember, and we picked a very cheap hotel, 120 RMB per night hotel, that I stayed there for 2 years. So people thought I was crazy. My friends from GE said, Savio, you've lost your nuts. Staying in a hotel like this and not getting paid much. Pay was mainly in shares. Now they say I'm so clever. But everybody thought I was nuts. The Alibaba turnaround was a team kind of affair. But somebody from outside is much easier because you're talking about death by 100 or 1,000 cuts or death by 1 blow. And I was the advocate for death by one blow. I said,
you were the real tough guy then. You were called in to do a very tough task.
Relatively speaking. Because
But
time
then
is of the essence.
you also softened it with, later on,
Yeah.
by introducing poems
Yeah,
into the company's...
that's much later.
Yeah, but talk about how the poems work.
They were turning around 250,000 RMB a year. So we said, how can we make it into $1 million? So I said, well, if you want to make it into $1 million, we just tell people that we have $1 million club. So we did the $1 million club. Then if people get to $1 million, what are the prices? We have no idea. We just say, let's hope that some people do get to $1 million. It was a very long and agonizing kind of wait. Like it took 8 months, 22 days before the first $1 million sales guy turned up. So he actually went from 250 last year to $1 million, which is 4 times. Same product, the same price, the same area, the same customer. So he was doing well. Eventually, that year we got 15 such guys. So that was good. So everyone says, Savio, we're going to give them something, give them some reward. So I had no idea what reward it should be because they get their commission already, which is quite good money at the time. Then in the rush of heart and emotion, I wrote the first $1 million guy a poem. I said congratulations by writing a poem. And then after that, he wrote the poem back. It's much more than mine. And then before you know what happened, this became a culture.
That's part of the success story of Alibaba, is that if you have this global outlook and this global vision, but you're executing locally, and you have adapted to, obviously, the Chinese culture, because they are Chinese, and you're at home. So can you talk about how that has really made a difference, this global, local strategy?
Yes, the buyers are global, but the sellers are local. So this is a very interesting kind of model. So the model is actually dependent on trust. The seller has to trust that there is a buyer community, a good buyer community that would be actually buying from you. So that actually will help you do business. But the buyer has also to trust that there is a very trustworthy kind of a seller community in China. I think we hit it at the right time. With all these SMEs, with all the capacity for production, wanting to go outside China.
So one of the amazing parts of Alibaba's history is that not only did Alibaba go on to be China's #1 e-commerce company, but it has also trumped the multinational companies that have come into China, such as eBay. eBay had acquired a Chinese internet e-commerce startup called EachNet, and they made a run with it with Meg Whitman at the helm to tackle the Chinese market. But Jack Ma, the leader of Alibaba, is one fierce competitor, and Savio, why don't you tell us what the tactics were to beat this multinational in China?
You would really have to have a dream. That is the most important thing. The dream is, let's make doing business easy. That is the Alibaba mission. So to make doing business easy is actually what we're trying to do every day. So we started off with the B2B, and we were successful. So the B2B turnaround in terms of making money is in 2002. We broke even in 2002, and then immediately Jack said, look, the E-space are the same. There is no B2B, B2C, or C2C, but there is just one whole space of C2B. You understand your consumer, and then you understand what to supply to them. So that actually is what we talk about C2B nowadays. But at those times, we thought he was completely and utterly crazy because Jack convinced us all that this is really the right way to do it. We're very, very happy that he did convince us all, because without the C2C, B2C business, Alibaba would be a shadow of what it could be and what it is nowadays. But eBay is actually bought each net, and each net boasted of 95% market share of the penetrated B2C space, auction space in China. But what they actually have not realized is that that penetration is only 5% of the 100%. So there is another 95% outside that particular space. So that, I think that is the key thing. So the Alibaba or Taobao the strategy is surprise and some value proposition. The surprise is that somebody is actually stupid enough to do it against eBay. So that was a surprise. So the surprise only lasted like 2 minutes. But then the real value proposition is free. Knowing eBay cannot do it. Because eBay is listed and has to answer back to the investors and so on. So we actually came up with this, but it was quite a hard fight because eBay has tremendous kind of a strength. But eBay actually helped us tremendously by doing a couple of things that I think looking back you would find it completely amazing. One thing they did, after getting each net, and then the founder, Savio, left the company, was to parachute in a German CEO. So I remember asking the eBay COO at the time, because they were contacts, because they're trying to buy us also.
And he didn't speak Chinese, right?
He didn't speak Chinese. I asked the COO, Kwan, I think I mean Mr. Kwan. I said, David, why are you doing this? Why are you sending a German guy to come to China and run something like this? And then the explanation was, you know, eBay has been very successful in the US, but not successful in Asia, like Korea and Japan. But the only place we are very successful at is Germany. Therefore, we are giving China the best possible guy we ever had, is the CEO of Germany operation. But he doesn't speak Chinese, he's never been to China before, he doesn't have any idea what the thing is. So that is one thing they did. The second thing they did is even more amazing, is that they insist on giving the Chinese consumer value in the eBay style. Is by changing the internet platform into the global eBay platform so that they can use PayPal and the same platform. But by doing that, that means everybody has got to use English. And everybody has got to use PayPal, and everybody has to use MasterCard and credit card. But those are the two things the Chinese consumer do not have, absolutely do not have. And they don't care about the international platform. The international platform for eBay for them is just of no value. The internet Chinese platform to them is of high value. So overnight, I think it was the 23rd of September, something like 30% of the eBay consumers left and the internet consumer left and joined Taobao. So those are the two major things that actually happened. And then the third thing that actually happened was instigated by Anne. She said, I'm going to go to China and kill off Taobao myself. I'm going to stay there for 6 months. And she bought $100 million US, bought up all the advertising space for that year. The condition is that nobody can let Taobao buy any advertising space in the media. So that actually pushed the fighting spirit of the Taobao team to a real height. And in the end, after 1 year is finished, we were still there. So that actually, the three key things that actually happened.
That's amazing. And also, I think one of the issues was that eBay, every time they wanted to make a decision locally, they had to go to Mountain View or Silicon Valley to get the decision. So it really slowed their whole strategy down. down.
Yeah.
And Hangzhou, Alibaba was right there, and you could act immediately on changes that you saw in the marketplace.
That is absolutely crucial in the early days of any startup, is that you can react just like that. And even if you talk about the Alibaba model, it is very local. It's global, but it's very local because it's entirely really based on trust. So, do we have a problem trying to use the same model in India and Japan? Yes, we do. So it's not something that you can pick up and say, okay, it worked in China, let's go and plug it in London and press the button, it will work. It won't. It absolutely would not. So I think that is something that we have actually learned. One thing we do actually expect is the value system has to be the same. That I think that's one thing that consistently run through. When we first started, we had 300 people, and then we fire half of them to survive. And then we started the value system, the company culture system, with measurements and actual behavior that is clearly defined. And that is one system we expect to be the same the world over. London, the US, India, Japan, anywhere.
Another amazing part of the Alibaba story is the Yahoo investment.
Yes.
And then Alibaba running Yahoo in China.
Yes.
And this story continues today.
Yes.
What are some of the lessons that can be taken away from the Yahoo experience of managing Yahoo in China and managing this international investment and dealing with the board issues and going private now and talk of maybe going public again.
Yes.
So yeah.
I remember 2005 in May that we had lunch, we had dinner. Yeah. So Jack, Kathy, Joe, myself, and a couple other people. And then Jack turned around and said, "Savio, we are doing Yahoo." I said, "What about?" So we're going to get Yahoo China. Wow. Jack said, "Look, Savio, can you be ready to come and help me turn Yahoo China around in the next 6 months or something?" So it was most amazing. 750 people. Jack said, "Savio, I never had that feeling before. When he goes to talk to thousands of people, I mean, by that time, when I stepped down, it was like 3,000 people in the company, 3,000 people. And then by 2005, I think we were probably close to double that. And Jack said, when I'm upstage and I talk, then there might be 3,000 or 5,000 people downstairs, and I'm the only one guy on stage, but there is only one thought going through all these 5,000-6,000 people. His thought, Jack's thought, whatever he's thinking and whatever he's saying. But then when he goes to Yahoo, Beijing, then there's 750 people downstairs and he is up there talking. He said there, Savio is very, very daunting. There are 751 thoughts. That is the best characterization of the whole shooting match I can think of coming directly from Jack. It was tough. Because, I characterize it as one of the characters in a martial art novel, which not everybody here would understand, but in China everybody would pick it up immediately, is some hero actually has got qi gong, the qi, from 7 or 8 very high level masters, but then it was completely messed up inside his body. And that is the same way I think I can characterize Yahoo China. They have been influenced by the value systems of Yahoo USA. After that, Yahoo Asia Pacific. After that, Yahoo Hong Kong. And after that, Yahoo bought in the guy who now has a 360, Zhou Hongyi, get his value system, and then later on, after that, Alibaba tried to put Alibaba system there. So it was very, very tough.
Very, very tough.
Yeah.
But what ended up happening is that Yahoo's investment in Alibaba was probably the best investment they ever made, right?
Absolutely right. Absolutely right.
So how much money did they make on that? On the Alibaba investment?
I remember my driver in 2005. When I first got to Alibaba, Jack threw me a hot potato. He said, Savio, I don't care what you do, but let's put everybody on stock option for the whole company. I don't care what you do. So there was me, there was Joe, the CFO, and then there's Lucy, the HR director. Lucy is now the chief people officer and also head of Alipay. I was working really hard to figure out a program to have everybody who was full-time employee of Alibaba to have stock option. And then we did it. We came up with a thing that multiply your annual salary with a coefficient. So my driver makes like 1,500 RMB a month. That was in 2002 or 3 or something like that, 2003. And then he has some Alibaba options. So you multiply that, what he earns by 12. So it's like something like 20,000 RMB a year. And times the coefficient. So his coefficient is probably like 60% or something like that. Then he got this Alibaba option, and then Yahoo was buying it. Because he got his option at 20 cents. Yahoo was paying $6.50 for his shares. But he hasn't got 20 cents to exercise his option. So I said, look, why don't I just exercise the option for you, so that then you can participate in this Yahoo thing, and you can pay me back later. He said, Savio, I need to think about it. So it took him 2 days. And then the fellow turned around, called me and said, Savio, I decided not to buy. Because I've decided not to sell. I said, you're not exercising your shares? No, because I'm not going to sell to Yahoo. I said, with money. He said, Savio, I've calculated by selling now, I'm a half millionaire. I'm not a millionaire, I'm a half millionaire. So I would like to be a full millionaire before I sell. And he true to his word, he never sold.
How many millionaires did Alibaba create?
At least 1,000.
At least 1,000.
At least 1,000.
Yeah. It's got to be.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah.
I'm talking about US dollar millionaire.
So Alibaba just went private.
Yes.
At least Alibaba.com went private.
Absolutely.
So what was the reasoning behind that, and what's next? The rumor is that you're going to list again, and maybe in Hong Kong.
Forget the rumor. But there's no real basis for any rumor. I sat on the board of the .com, the listed company, for almost the entire time it was listed. I was there for 4 years, from 2008 until delisted in last summer. It is a melody of many things. But you know, the financial crisis, it actually does bring all the equity really low.
Right.
So I think that actually happened. Now, of course, Alibaba, something also happened in 2011, which is the fraudulent seller kind of case. Jack put me in charge of investigating that case internally. When he called me, I know I'm going to lose money big time. Because when he called me, the shares was at 32 Hong Kong dollars. Yeah, and but after the investigation, we announced the result, and then the CEO and COO of the .com company shut down, and 100 guys got fired. The share went south. I, having been the one who has the first information about this thing going to happen, of course cannot sell. So I was looked at by the Hong Kong Stock Exchange. All of us were looked at and said, anybody sold any shares before that? So they came up, all guys all clean and with integrity. But that actually had also had an effect. So that and plus the global financial crisis that drove the price down to a level which actually made a privatization very kind of possible. So that is actually what the board decided to do, to privatize.
And what's next?
Next, you have to ask Jack.
But what's it like working with Jack Ma, such a charismatic leader?
Jack is a visionary, but the Jack I know is very much a leader. In China, the Chinese employees look at their management as if they're looking at family. So at Alibaba, I remember when I first joined, all the customers asking me, "Oh, you joined as a president and COO, does it mean that Jack is not working there anymore?" I said, no, Jack is Alibaba. No, he wouldn't be, he'll always be there, he's my boss and all that. I tried to explain, and then they tried to ask me all kinds of demarcation, how do you work together? In the end, I said, look, I can't explain it. So in the end, I said, look, at our company, Jack is Alibaba, and Savio is Alibaba. So that actually is what happened. The dad has to look at and make sure the future is bright and always bright. The mother has to make sure there's food on the table every day. So that is the relationship. But Jack has got such vision. I remember he said to me in 2001, he said, when things are working and when we're doing all these value systems and when we're doing the sales training system and opening all the system to work and having everybody into organization a role and so on. Then he said to me something that is quite interesting. He said, Savio, one of those days, I'm going to be sitting at the same table as Jack Welch. So this is metaphorical. I'm going to be sitting at the same table as Jack Welch. And the first thing I'm going to tell him is to thank him for training Savio to come and help Alibaba. So Jack is somebody who would say things like that. But then 2008, 2008, I got a call. 2007, yeah, that's right. 2007, around about August time, I got a call. And there was Jack, very low voice. At the other end of the line, I was in Hong Kong. I said, Jack, is that you? Why are you so soft and quiet? He said, I'm having dinner with Jack Welch. So I said, oh, did you say that word? Because only he and I remember this secret is between the two of us. He said, yes, that's why I'm calling you. So I thought, I asked, where is he having dinner with Jack Welch? So I said, where are you having dinner with Jack Welch? He said, I'm having dinner with Jack Welch at Bill Gates' house. I'm guest of honor, and Jack Welch is one of the fellow guests. So he would do things like that. He called me straight away. It was in the middle of the night, and then I said, wow. So this is the Jack. I know him very much a visionary, very much a leader, very much somebody who can say, look, it's not B2B, it's not B2C, it's not C2C, it's eventually, it's the whole space. Everybody will be in everybody's sandboxes. It is actually C2B. That is the Jack I know.
Savio, today you're advising a number of SMEs and emerging companies on strategies for tapping the Chinese marketplace.
Right.
Do you have any advice for our entrepreneurs in the audience who are thinking about that, or expanding there, or investing there, or doing R&D there in China?
First step, learn Chinese.
Okay.
Yeah, you have to actually learn the language, because a lot.
But that's going to be a 2-year commitment.
Yeah, I know. So nothing beats starting early. But the thing to avoid is to avoid saying, having a notion of bringing some a ready-made technology solution that works in the Western world and bring them to China and expect it to work. It may work. I'm not saying that it won't, but the chance of it having to be adapted or the chance of it not working is really high. I mean, I think you have to really learn your target customer really well. And the Chinese target customers are very complex because there are many of them. And no Chinese region are the same. So they, broadly speaking, McKinsey broke it down to 30-some different cluster of regions. So they're all different. 30-some. The map is amazing if you look at the McKinsey map. So most administrative kind of a barrier would bring it down to at least 7 different administrative zones. And within the 7, within each zone is like the size of a country, of a European country. So I think that is quite complex. But the opportunities is tremendous. Absolutely true. Also. So I don't know if that is any help at all.
I'm sure it's a tremendous help. Even just figuring out which market in China you should go after would save you a lot of time, ultimately. So thank you, Savio. Let's give Savio a round of applause.